Now, as you start to use cascading style sheets, a lot of times you'll get really fired up about the possibilities of how easily you can format your XML documents, and you can really create some cool stuff. The question becomes, wait a minute, how did I know, or how would I have known that I can use that option, or I can set that setting and cause that magic to happen? Well, you'll just have to look at a list of them, and I strongly recommend you go to the local bookstore or get out on Google or something and find some references on the various cascading style sheet options that are out there. Now, you can divide all the cascading style sheet settings into two main categories: layout properties and formatting properties. Now, again, this is by no means an exhaustive list. I just kind of want to throw some ideas at you, get you started, get out on the internet, get in one of those third-party books, and start to pick up some more things. There's a ton of stuff you can do through cascading style sheets. First of all, there's a display property or a display setting that we can set various properties on, and I'm going to talk about some of those here. One that you'll use a lot is called the block property of the display, because what it's going to do is every time it encounters a new element of that name, it's going to display it on a new line, and this is how we get multiple lines. Then there's a list item property, and once you call that, it simply, on every new reading of the element, creates a bulleted list. This is really cool. Users like this. It's very friendly on the eyes. Inline is one that you will use quite a bit in concert with block, because inline says, read the element but don't go to the next line. Leave it on the same line. Now, you need to understand, this treats it as if it's more or less part of a paragraph. It will wrap at the end of the window and go to the next line when the sentence has to, but it's basically treated as a paragraph, and so if you resize and so forth, it will move accordingly. Now, then you have the none property. When you choose that, the element or the text that's in that element will not be displayed. Now, this is pretty much the amount of control you have in CSS about transforming your data. You can either show it or not show it. So anytime you want to transform or really change the data, XSL is going to be the answer. And we'll talk about that a little later. Now, some of the layout properties can be a little confusing. And anytime you're using that display property or the display setting with any of those properties, keep in mind this is controlling how objects, and objects is the key word there, are displayed. The best way to think about this is to think rectangle. When I start using the display tag and so forth, start thinking in terms of a rectangle, and I'll show you later in an example in a different video exactly how to use this, and it can be real impressive. You can create some really cool documents that users can read very easily. They're easy on the eyes, they're very attractive. It looks like you've been up all night programming, and it's kind of back to the Dilbert world. Even managers can be trained to read these reports and get something out of them pretty quickly. So those are the layout properties. Now, when we jump over into the formatting properties, these are the ones we're mostly used to doing. Notice there's a border property that we can place a border around an element. Now, this can be really, really cool. Notice some of the settings we can set on this border: the width, the color, the style, left, right, top, bottom, all, and so forth. The style, whether the border around our particular element is a solid line, a double line, dashed, no dotted, and then groove, ridge, insets. We can make it look like a button. We can more or less buttonize our data. It looks like a button in a regular Windows program. Outset and none. Text is where you'll spend a lot of your time. Notice that you can set the font family, and please keep in mind, I'm not showing you all the property capabilities you can put out here. I'll show you some in examples, and you can dig in some documentation and see lots you can do here. By the way, if you don't mention font family, it's going to read the first font that it sees available in your browser. Good luck on what that's going to be from time to time and in your various users. So you usually want to set this. But notice I could put things like Times, Courier, and get those. The font size, you can put this in points or pixels, PT for point, PX for pixels, and we can control the font size. Now, be wary of something here. Your browser can hijack some of these properties and hold them. So you may want to set a font size of 56, but browser settings may prevent that from going any higher than a certain size. So play with this in different browsers. We're still in the web world after all. Font style, this is going to be exactly how we want our style to look: normal, bold, normal or italic, Then the font weight, we can determine whether it's going to be light, medium, bold, and so forth. So now in the next video, I'm going to use some more of these style options to show you how to do some really cool formatting with this simple little people.xml document that we've got, and you'll get an idea of more of what you can do with cascading style sheets. And if you've never used these things, you'll really like this. So I'll see you there.